BBC Radio 5 Live. Tony Livesey.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Tony Livesey.
On BBC Radio 5 Live.
All right, well, welcome to the final hour of tonight's show and the first hour of Wednesday, the 3rd of September, the day on which Elton John won the first ever Icon Award at the Brits. Madonna was at number one in the UK singles chart in 2000 with Music. Never heard of it. It was a video that featured Ali G. And in 1988, the Human Rights Now World Tour kicked off at Wembley Stadium with Sting, Bruce Springsteen, Peter Gabriel and Tracy Chapman all performing. And just a year ago saw the release of this.
So tell me please, can we fix our nation's broken heart? Can we fix our nation's
Yes, very much breathing in and out there with the harmony. Breathing in and out. Stevie Wonder on this day last year with the release of his first record in 4 years featuring his trademark harmonica. More on that later. I mention all this because the first hour of Wednesday on 5 Live is always dedicated to music. So if you think Simon and Garfunkel are solicitors and Coldplay is the latest parenting fad, you may just need the help of this man. Yes, Dr. Beat, back for another hour off the books, better known to his students as Professor Joe Bennett from the Berklee College of Music in Boston. One of his fiendish quizzes is on the way, but first of all, let's have a chat about Stevie and his harmonica. Joe, hello, welcome again officially to the show tonight.
Oh, thank you, Tony. Nice to be here.
So the theme, let's explain that because the anniversary is clear, it's Stevie Wonder. So what's that prompted in your mind?
Yeah, well, the harmonica it's an instrument that you don't hear in most pop records. But when you do, it's a very distinctive voice. And as you know, Tony, when I'm trying to playlist a selection of songs for the show, I have some rules. I try to make it musically diverse. And most importantly, I try to cover a big range of time, 1950s or 60s through to present day. And it's the thing about the harmonica. It's one of those instruments that just keeps cropping up from time to time. It goes away and then it just appears in a record. So we have some examples of great pop records that feature harmonica parts covering a fair range of styles and indeed decades.
JT's just texted the show. He says, Joe and Tony, my first 10-hole harmonica cost 10 shilling 9 pence. Now they're 30 quid and there's no more holes in them. So that I suppose that's just inflation. They're quite a sexy instrument, aren't they, harmonicas?
I think that's perhaps because they're associated with the blues, and what was that, 10 shillings that cost? So that pre-71 harmonica, presumably. Yeah. So they're very affordable, and traditionally that has meant that poor people play them because people who can't afford expensive instruments. So perhaps that's connected with their association with the blues. They're also incredibly portable. It's a very portable instrument. Typically a harmonica is about 14 centimeters wide, depending upon the model. You can carry it in your pocket. So I think it's appealing in that way. You described it as sexy. Yeah, I think I'd also use the adjective cool. There's something cool about it. Yeah. But particularly when it's played in that very expressive way that blues players can perform with it.
It's something you can whip one-handed out your pocket at a party, Joe. My dream has always been to walk into a pub and play the piano, so it's hard to that's not very portable, is it? But whipping a harmonica out your pocket. And at £3 a hole, Joe, you can't really argue, even at today's prices, can you?
Can you buy them one hole at a time, I wonder?
Yeah. Well, you can. I read here you can get 10-hole ones or 12, 14 or 16. Presumably that just increases the range, does it, as you go up in holes?
It's the pitch range and also the level of chromaticism. That is, there's basically two kinds of harmonica. There's a diatonic harmonica, which just plays in one key, and there's a chromatic harmonica where you can play all of the, what in a piano would be the white and the black notes. And that on that Stevie Wonder track we were listening to there, Can We Fix Our Nation's Broken Heart, Stevie is, and I would say has always been, a master of the chromatic harmonica. That is to say, all the notes.
Right. I mean, I'm trying to learn golf at the moment, Joe. I've had 2 lessons and it's very, very difficult. How easy is it to play the harmonica? Is it quite an easy instrument to master in general terms compared to others?
It's very forgiving on the first day. If any of the Five Live listeners who've ever picked one up in high school or wherever in college and just had a go, or maybe when they were a kid, when you blow into it, you get a chord, and that chord is in tune, and it sounds like proper music. The challenge is, of course, controlling it, and that's what takes the practice.
Yeah. Well, forgive us tonight, Joe. We've just had so many texts to the show. Occasionally, we're just going to read a few out that people are celebrating their favourite tunes. I appreciate there's reasonings behind the tunes you've chosen that take us through a few decades. But Tim's alongside me. Tim, just give us an example of what people are saying.
Yeah, so Archie in Falkirk says the Midnight Cowboy theme tune has to be one of the best harmonicas. Mike in Chester has said, please remember the harmonica on Blondie album Eat to the Beat. The title track features the harmonica. The hits were Atomic and Dreaming and Union City Blue.
Yeah.
Harmonica is a big reason why Dr. Feelgood are the best down and dirty rock and roll band. I said 9 Below Zero, also worth a mention. There's no name on that one, unfortunately. Alan in Edinburgh said, great harmonica, The Stranglers' Old Codger, featuring the late, great George Melly.
Okay. Well, yeah, just one more then. Go on.
Yeah, and then Richard said, harmonica Stevie Wonder, Isn't She Lovely, and many other tracks by the great man.
Did you know the former MP says his texter Lembit Opik always carries a harmonica with him? No, I didn't know that. Another something else I didn't know. Somebody's texted to say, I've had a harmonica for years and never tried to play it. So we didn't know that before we came on air, did we? Right. Joe, before we get into the harmonica, and I'm really looking forward to learning some stuff tonight as ever, we've got your quiz, your weekly quiz, which I've already got one, though, which is better than my batting average. So tell us exactly what's about to happen, Joe.
So we've had some great suggestions from the listeners there, and I cannot confirm or deny that any of them may be in the quiz or in the show. So we are going to listen to some very, very well-known harmonica hits, starting in 1963, and the most recent one is in 2016. There are 7 questions. I'm going to play just the harmonica bit, usually the intro, sometimes the solo. I'm going to play you about 4 or 5 seconds of each, and of course, because these are so well-known, we are going to play them backwards. Okay. So strap in, everyone. You're listening out for the harmonica, and there's 1 point for the artist and 1 point for the song. So for our first question, this is a song from 1963, and it's a British band, and the harmonica part was played by a member of the band. Here is number 1. Okay, for my second clue, I'm going to choose my geographical clue carefully. This is a song from 1972, and it is a North American artist, and this is that person playing the harmonica.
Oh, it's doing me head in already. I know it, and I can't get it. I got the first one.
It'll come to you.
Yeah.
For number 3, this is an artist from New York, and in this particular song, he is playing the piano and the harmonica.
What year was that?
That was 1973. So for number 4, this is a British band from 1983, and here the harmonica part is being played by the band's guitarist. I want the song and the artist. For number 5, this is another North American artist. Again, I say that advisedly. And this is a female singer-songwriter. This song came out in 1995, and this is she playing the harmonica backwards. For number 6, this is an American band. They were formed in Florida. And I'm going to tell you the name of the harmonica player here. The harmonica player on this track, he's not in the band, but he's on the track. The harmonica player is indeed Mr. Stevie Wonder. And finally, number 7, this artist released this track in 2016, and they're an American artist, and the harmonica player is a chap called Josh Kaufman. Little vocal clue at the end there.
Well,
so we've got 7 songs, 7 artists.
It started so well for me. I got the first one, hands down, and that's it. That's all I've got. Well, look, what are the numbers, Tim? People get it every week. People get all 7 of these. So what are the numbers if anyone's done that?
Yeah, text us on 85058 or send us a WhatsApp 08085 909 693.
Yes, Mike in Portland says Paul Jones is an ace blues harmonica player. He was lead mouth harp player on the UK hit 54321 by Manfred Mann years ago, says Mike. And Nick in Leeds says, hi, Joe, is it true? I don't know if you know this, Joe. My Boy Lollipop by Millie. Rod Stewart was the harmonica player on My Boy Lollipop. Did we know that?
I'd not heard that, but that's a checkable fact.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll check on that. So we're going to delve in to the world of the harmonica. It's Stevie Wonder's. It's the anniversary of his latest record that got us going on this. Really. So I believe, Joe, you've enlisted the help of a master harmonica player.
Yeah, I think I can call us friends. We're Instagram friends. Contact mine, Liam Ward, is one of the UK's top harmonica players. Worth looking him up. He plays on lots of records. He's and he's a teacher. So Liam Ward, and he kindly agreed at very short notice to send me some examples of top harmonica playing. I have a harmonica. I can play it a bit, but you really want to hear it in the hands of an expert. So I asked him to demonstrate, can he just do me a short sample, a short recording of the basic techniques of a harmonica. So first of all, Tony, you were absolutely right. The harmonica is played by blowing and sucking. You get a sound as you push air out, and you get a sound as you pull air in. And often that sound can be different. So on that, Joe. Sorry, teacher.
Yeah,
sorry.
Go
ahead.
No. Sorry, I put my hand up. Can you? So you playing it then? Because I swim a lot, right? So you breathe like bellows. You breathe out underwater, breathe in as you come up and go back again. So you're breathing in and out all the time. If you're playing the harmonica, can you breathe through it, or do you have to turn to one side to breathe?
You can suck air in through it. Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think what players do mostly is they just breathe through the sides of their mouth or even through their nose at the same time. So I asked Liam, would he just give us some basic techniques? So the first thing I asked him to do is play a chord, which is what happens when you just blow into a harmonica with your mouth kind of wide, and then turn it into a single note, which is what happens when you sort of purse your lips a bit. So this is a chord and a note. So I also asked him to demonstrate the chromatic harmonica. I mentioned this. So generally harmonicas are in one key, and that's why if you ever do a blues gig or whatever with a harmonica player who's really experienced, they'll often bring a bag of 12 with them because there are 12 musical keys. So this is an example of Liam playing the chromatic harmonica. So you just hear all the notes in between. It's a little lick. So you can get all the notes stepwise in between. But one of the things I think that we were talking earlier about it being really a sort of a cool, a sexy instrument, and I think that's because it's rather vocal in the way it's articulated in the hands of a master player. So one thing you can do by controlling your breath and your tongue position, you can actually bend the notes. So here's some examples of some bends. And another effect that I think is really cool, and you're going to hear this on a lot of the tracks we talk about tonight. You've probably seen it in the movies when the harmonica player cups both hands around the instrument, and then they wobble one hand up and down.
Yeah.
That creates a kind of a wah-wah effect, so they're referred to as hand effects, and the instrument gets brighter and duller according to how you move your hands. So I asked Liam to do a few of those. Here's some of those. So you can hear it's almost vocal, isn't it? It's a very expressive way of playing the instrument.
They're so small that makes it sound as though it'd be really easy to do. Now, you know what I mean? It's like watching snooker. It just looks easy.
Yeah, well, I suck at snooker and golf, Tony. But I know what you mean. When you're watching it on TV, they make it look easy. But, you're a musician. What trouble have you found trying to play the harmonica? I mean, you can probably play it better than most people listening to this. But you know, how long has it taken you to get to where you are with it? Well, I can get the chords out of it because it's essentially, if you don't have much detailed control over your mouth position, you can get the chord on the blow and the chord on the suck, which tends to be the 1 chord and the 5 chord. But actually controlling individual notes takes a lot more precision, and that's the skill that a real top player develops over many years.
Well, look, shall we delve into the world of harmonica then?
Let's do it.
And go on our travels. So here are some of the examples you've put out for us. So we're starting all the way back in the early 50s, 1952 to be precise. So this is Little Walter with Juke. Well, that takes me back to the weekend before last, which I spent at the Great British Blues Festival, Joe.
Fantastic.
A lot of music of that ilk. So tell us about Little Walter and the significance of that song.
So as you said, Tony, it was Little Walter. Marion Walter Jacobs was his full name, and he was really one of the first of the revolutionary blues harmonica players. What we heard there in that track, Juke, was his sort of signature sound in that he was playing not just the harmonica, but he was playing the harmonica through a distorted guitar amp, and that's why we got this sort of real rocky sound out of it. It was all about the tone for Little Walter, and he was a core member of Muddy Waters band in the late 40s and early 50s. He recorded with Jimmy Rogers, Otis Rush, Howlin' Wolf and Bo Diddley, and then he went solo and led his own group, the Jukes, and had major R&B hits, as they called it back then, rhythm and blues, including Juke that we heard there and My Babe, and so many people since then have cited him as an influence.
Before Little Walter, what kind of what would we have heard as far as the harmonica is concerned? Nothing as complicated as that. Then it was more straightforward, was it? The use of harmonica.
I mean, there were virtuoso players from the the Chicago and early the sort of Mississippi bluesmen, but it was really for him. It was more about the sound. 1952. That was like it was really before the birth of rock and roll. And what I love about that record is he's got this sort of blues band. They're just sort of jamming a classic blues in, and I bet a bunch of the listeners who are musicians were counting along there. So you've got this sort of riff in E. Let's just grab a guitar. So it's something like this. It's one of those, and the band are just sort of chugging along. But what I love about it is they're following Little Walter. And again, for the musicians who were counting along, you would have thought, hang on, they're out of time there. Hang on, they're out of time there. And that's because basically it's a 12-bar blues, but only loosely. They sort of add an extra beat here and there, or an extra half bar here and there. And it's clear. I love listening to that record and imagine the musicians looking at each other and nodding. Is it now? Is it now?
Yeah.
And then they go to the next section.
And what's interesting, because as we move towards the next piece you've chosen, it's interesting to think about who was listening to stuff like that and the effect it was having on a whole new generation of musicians. So we're going to jump forward a decade now to, I think, the most famous band on earth, I guess. But this is not their most famous harmonica song. May or may not have been in the quiz. I don't know. But it's certainly the answer I've got. This is the Beatles, Joe, with, from 1964, I Should Have Known Better.
I should have known better with a girl like you, that I would love everything that you do, and I do. Hey, 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 and I do. Whoa, whoa, I never realized what a kiss could be. This could only happen to me. Can't you see? Can't you see that when I tell you that I love you, oh, you're gonna say you love me too. Oh, and when I ask you to be mine, you're gonna say you love me too. So I should have realized a lot of things before. If this is love, you gotta give me more. Give me more. Hey, hey, hey. Give me more.
Brilliant stuff, and you know, our harmonica music, very early Beatles, so their early hits, Joe. It was you know, define them, didn't it? Really, the harmonica.
It was all over the early singles, and actually only all over the early singles. They sort of dropped it completely, certainly on the singles after 1964. Then you know, later in their career, it appeared very occasionally. I think some on the start of Rocky Raccoon on the White Album, but generally they abandoned it. And Lennon later said he thought of it as a bit of a gimmick. But in I Should Have Known Better, which I think is a really underrated early Beatles tune, it's used as a secondary hook. So the primary hook in a song like that is the title, I Should Have Known Better with a Girl Like You, and the vocal nearly always takes the primary hook. But the secondary hook is the bit that you remember played on an instrument. And like I say, I can't do it on the harmonica, but let's just have a go on guitar. So it's something like so it's sort of, and as you said, Tony, it's suck blow. You can only get that by breathing in and out. Dun, 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 dun. What I enjoyed about listening to that mix is it's the very earliest days of multi-tracking. The Beatles had access to multi-tracking from their first album onward, but the number of tracks was severely limited in the early 60s. And in I Should Have Known Better, what I love about it is that they create something that's actually impossible to do live. And that is the harmonica, which John Lennon plays, overlaps with the voice which John Lennon sings. So you can only do that by doing it on a separate track. And, you know, that's all well and good. It sounds great on the record, and he sings, give me more, and the harmonica comes in over the word more. But, of course, they play it in the movie, In a Hard Day's Night, and you can see that he's sort of lip-syncing, he's miming to it, and it feels like he's slightly embarrassed that he doesn't quite know how to deal with the fact that he's miming to two things at once.
And so they fell out of love with the harmonica pretty quickly, the Beatles. Was that because they became more sophisticated, or that was just what they knew, because they were rockabilly, weren't they, originally, the Quarrymen and all that kind of thing? They'd grown up, presumably they may have even heard Little Walter, so they would have thought that was the epitome of cool briefly, till they suddenly set the tone.
Yeah, and there's an ergonomic aspect to it as well. As Bob Dylan and many other singer-songwriters know, you can put a harmonica in a neck stand around your neck, and you can have both hands free to play the guitar. So it adds another instrument without adding another person to the band. So it's, again, very portable in that sense. But yeah, I think you're right, Tony. As the Beatles became more sophisticated and ambitious very quickly after those early hits, they wanted to do more. And of course, by 1966, they abandoned touring entirely and they became exclusively a studio band. So they really wanted to expand the possibilities. So I think they, A, didn't want the harmonica anymore, but B, didn't really need the harmonica anymore to expand their sonic palette.
It's quite interesting. I mean, they played my local town and many local towns around the country in the few years that they were touring. But then when you look at that famous Shea Stadium concert, the thought of someone being able to hear the harmonica at that point, it just must just not have been great.
It's pretty chaotic, that gig, and of course PA systems back then weren't what they are now, so I don't think people heard a lot of music that night.
John just says, apropos nothing, well, apropos the harmonica, he says, play the theme tune to the Old Grey Whistle Test. That's a classic sucking and blowing tune.
Yeah, it really is.
That's harmonica, is it, Joe, on that?
It really is, yeah. There were a few versions of the Old Grey, but the main theme that everyone remembers was indeed harmonica.
Yeah, great. Right, let's fast forward now only 4 years, but this is the reason why we're talking about harmonicas tonight, and surely one of the best harmonica solos you'll ever find. This is Stevie Wonder.
Oh, once I have something I know won't desert me, I'm not alone anymore. Oh, once I can say, this is mine, you can't take it. Long as I know I have love, I can make it. For once in my life, I have someone who needs me. Hey, yeah. Oh, dear Lord. Once in my life, I won't let sorrow hurt me, not like it's hurt me before. For once I have something I know won't desert me, I'm not alone anymore. For once I can say, this is mine, you can't take it. Long as I know I have love, I can make it. For once in my life, I have someone who needs me.
Absolutely, Joe, incredible. Most of us could take several lifetimes and never be able to do that. He was 18 when he recorded that, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, how difficult? What on the levels of difficulty? What are we talking about there?
Well, yeah, it's technically very difficult because there's so many chromatics in it, and the chords are quite chromatic. The da do da da do da da do da da, that second section in bar 3 and 4 is sort of indicative of the chords that he's got to follow when he's devising that solo. So yes, it's technically very difficult, but what I love about Stevie's work generally, and it comes out in his harmonica playing as anything else, is he's all about the melody. So yeah, he's doing a pretty flashy solo with lots of cool techniques in it, but you can still spot the melody of but it just sort of weaves in and out of the improvised bits. So that solo is also extraordinary sonically. He's pushing the instrument to the edge, and as you say, he's only 18 when he's doing it. So in technical terms, it goes from F sharp 3 to A sharp 5, which is nearly 2.5 octaves. So he's really pushing the edge of the range of the instrument, and that's that incredibly high note that we heard there at the end.
And the chromatic. So these have 12, 14 or 16 holes. They've got buttons and sliders on there. Have they? A bit. I mean, we were talking a bit like now, like an accordion. They've got extra additional accoutrements.
Yeah, so the track we heard before, I Should Have Known Better, that was just a blow-suck diatonic harmonica, so you're just hearing chords 1, 4 and 5. But that little phrasing for once in my life, when it's when it goes down one note at a time, you can't really do that on a diatonic harmonica. You have to have the technique to be able to control the chromatic one. And he does it so beautifully.
Well, we're moving on now, almost a decade. We're moving on to 1973 now. This is Long Train Running by the Doobie Brothers. There we go. That sounded like a bit of a jazz solo there in the middle of that.
Well, it's a jam track, and it really is a jam track. So Long Train Running by the Doobie Brothers, actually, it originated many years before it was released. It was one of those tracks that the band used to sort of just jam at sound check. And the reason for that is it's a 12-bar. It's basically a sort of elongated 12-bar blues. So you've got that G minor chord riff at the beginning. Let's see if I can do it. So it's something like this. So they're just sort of jamming a blues in G minor, and the band just sort of goes for it. And you don't need to tell a bunch of musicians what the chords are in a jam like that. Everybody knows a minor key 12-bar. So the harmonica solo that we heard there was played by Tom Johnston, the band member who also wrote the song. He's still around. He's 77 years old today, right now. And it's a harmonica solo that isn't as technical as the Stevie one that we heard. It's mainly sort of minor pentatonic. He's just playing around with really 5 notes of the scale, but he really attacks it with attitude. So there's a few bends in there, a little bit of a wah there, and a little bit of a tongue effect at the end of the solo. So it's one of those solos that it's kind of simple, but he pulls it off with aplomb.
Yeah, fantastic track. Just take us very briefly back to the Beatles when you said that they double recorded, or whatever the technical term is, so John could play the harmonica and sing. John texts in to say on "Love Me Do," Paul sang the instrument-free line of the song, so John could play harp on the last word. So they obviously worked it out when they could.
Right.
Right. This next one, Joe, right up my Strasser. I've said often on this show, I booked the Eurythmics for the Nelson and Colne College Christmas do in 1980. It was 81 or 82 at the Cat's Whiskers Burnley for £900 when no one had heard of them. And here they are with a classic track from 1985. And there's a reason there's many reasons we're playing this, not least that Stevie Wonder, to be fair. There Must Be an Angel, brackets, Playing With My Heart by the Eurythmics. Brilliant.
I must be hallucinating, watching angels celebrating. Could this be reactivating all my senses, dislocating? This must be a strange deception by celestial intervention, leaving me the recollection of your heavenly connection. I walk into an empty room. Suddenly my heart goes boom. It's an orchestra of angels. They're playing with my heart, yeah. Na, 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 na.
So much to love there. Not in no particular order, the tune, her voice, and then Stevie Wonder as well, working wonders with the melody there, Joe.
Well, and it's interesting, and I make no apology for putting too much Stevie on the show tonight. It's a show about the harmonica, and he's, one of the world's great virtuosos.
Well, Eurythmics were groundbreaking, weren't they, Joe? I mean, if we just talk about them very briefly, when we booked them to play Burnley, that we had to put Eurythmics underneath brackets with Annie Lennox from The Tourists, because literally nobody had heard of her in Dave Stewart's new vehicle, and I was convinced, because I love The Tourists. I just thought, well, it's going to be rubbish, but we can afford them for £900, and then suddenly they almost defined music. If you hear them now, that they are the 80s, aren't they?
Yeah, what was that early cover version that they had? Is one of the first things I ever saw on Top of the Pops. Trying to remember.
Not Sweet Dreams. No, that's not a cover version.
No, it's Eurythmics.
Hang on now. Stay with me, everyone. I'm going to Google it. Eurythmics. So they did a cover version. Not Sweet. Here Comes the Rain Again. Now There Must Be an Angel. What was it? Oh, everyone at home will be going mad now. Quick, text the show. So they did a cover version, did they? A really big one. 85058 is the number. I can't think what that was. Hey ho. So that's the Eurythmics. So we move on then. This is finally now we're moving into the 21st century, so it's still relevant, Joe.
Yeah, I think it really is. And this is a much more recent track, but there's a reason that the harmonica appeared in 2013. So this is Timber by Pitbull and Kesha, and let's just take a listen to it.
It's going down. I'm yelling timber. You better move. You better dance. Let's make a night you won't remember. I'll be the one you won't forget.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall. This bigger than boys, a diggity dog. I have them like Miley Cyrus, clothes off, twerking in their bras and thongs. Timber. Face down, booty up. Timber. That's the way we like the world.
yelling timber, you better move, you better dance. Let's make a night you won't remember. I'll be the one you won't forget. It's going down, it's going down. I'm yelling timber, you better move, you better dance. Let's make a night.
I like that. I don't know whether to rave or line dance to it though. What?
It's a great. We were listening out for that. Doom, doo, 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 doo. It was a very much live harmonica. They were using a session player. Paul Harrington was the chap who performed it. But it was a slightly controversial song because they had based it on an earlier track, which is called San Francisco Bay, and it was by Lee Oscar. Came out in 1978. So, Tony, take a listen to this.
A million people in San Francisco. A million.
Yes.
So you can hear it?
Yeah, I got it straight away. Yeah, absolutely.
So it was one of those things. Initially, it was used without permission, and then it sort of dragged through the courts a little while. They couldn't reach settlement, and eventually it was resolved. But it's fairly obviously the harmonica riff is taken from that track. So my guess is in the production process, they began with samples and then replaced them with a live player, but didn't get all the credits right. So that's Lee Oscar, Danish harmonica player, who was originally the harmonica player in War, and that track came out in 1978. And originally on that track, Rihanna was meant to be a featured artist, but she was too busy recording Shakira's Can't Remember to Forget You, so she couldn't make the session. So if the fates had collided differently, Rihanna might have been on that record as well.
Yeah, I'm making a note of that song, Timber, by Pitbull and Kesha. I like it. I like that. So
it's a great tune.
Yeah, I'm going to be playing that. I'd see again. I've said it before on this show. My musical interest ended about 1988, 89. So anything I hear from you, Joe, I take real note of, which is great. By the way, thank you to everyone at home. When we were talking about cover versions, Joe, by the Eurythmics, it was actually the Tourists. Who did a cover version of I Only Want to Be With You.
Only Want to Be With You. That was it.
With you.
The old 60s hit. Absolutely.
Great.
That's the one. I think that was the first song I ever saw on Top of the Pops. So that dates.
Well, there you go. And I think that was the first time most of us came into contact with Annie Lennox. Brilliant. Right. So, well, we're at the end of our harmonica journey, Joe. But we've still got loads to fit in. We've got the Soundslike section to come up very shortly, and also we've got the quiz reveal. We've had quite a few entries to the quiz, amazingly, because you play them backwards, and I've literally no idea. So shall we do the quiz reveal first of all?
Let's do it.
Have you got? Can you play them backwards first, then forwards, or not? Have you not got the technology?
Yeah, happy to do that. I've got all the technology here.
Okay, so you give the answers, but play them backwards first and then forwards, and then we can hear what we had to work through.
Okay, let's do them one by one. So number one, British band from 1963. I think most people would have got this one. Here it is, backwards. And, of course, when you play it forwards, you get this, which is Love Me Do by the Beatles.
Please, love me do. Oh, love me do.
Beautiful.
And, so for number two, here it is, backwards. This is a important statement. North American artist playing the harmonica. That North American was a Canadian. It was Neil Young, 1972, the song Heart of Gold.
Keep me searching for a heart of gold, and I'm getting old.
People have got these. I can tell we're going to have some winners here. Right, go on, Joe.
Looking forward to it. Okay, so for number three, I gave the clue that this chap was playing the piano and the harmonica at the same time. Backwards sounds like this. And fairly obviously, Billy Joel and the song Piano Man.
Sing us a song, you're the piano man.
For number 4, 80s again, your sort of peak era there, Tony. I think you should have got this. Backwards, it was this. It was a British band. The harmonica was played by the guitarist. That guitarist was Johnny Marr of The Smiths. The song Hand in Glove.
Hand in glove, the sun shines out of our behinds. No, it's not like any other glove.
For number 5, for those who decoded my North American trap, yes, another Canadian, Alanis Morissette, was playing the harmonica. Backwards, it sounded like this. And one of the big hits off that album, Jagged Little Pill, this was Hand in My Pocket.
'Cause I've got one hand in my pocket and the other one is flicking a cigarette.
For number 6, back to Stevie Wonder playing the harmonica again. I think people have got to know his distinctive style, even backwards. The band was NSYNC, and the song Something Like You.
Something happens when you look at me, I forget to speak. Something happens when you kiss my mouth, my knees get so weak. Could it be true?
And finally, number 7, the song, I'm just going to move straight to the answer here to save a little bit of time. This is I Bet You Think About Me by the ubiquitous Taylor Swift.
And I bet you think about me.
Well, already I can tell you Neil and Benny have got it right. That's amazing work. Is that right?
Yeah, really good. Yeah. Honourable mention to Catherine and Cornwall, who got, the majority of them right.
Yeah, well done, everybody, for that. Joe, we've got 5 minutes left. Have we enough time to do Soundslike?
We've just about got time.
Good. What have you got for us?
Okay, so this was sent in by Catherine in Cornwall, as I mentioned, and this, let me just read it out. So to quote from her text to the show, great to hear you and Professor Joe on the radio together. I have a suggestion for the Soundslike slot. How about Dire Straits' Brothers in Arms and Snowy White's Bird of Paradise? I think they were released at a similar time, very similar vibe, and I've often wondered if one influenced the other. Right. So, a little bit of context. Bird of Paradise was released in 1983 by Snowy White, ex-Thin Lizzy guitarist, and it sounds like this.
Saw you flying by, flash of turquoise blue. I just had to try.
So you've got this vocal melody, do-do-do-do-do, then this da-da-da-da-da, this sort of answering phrase on the guitar. And a couple of years later, on the title track from the Dire Straits 1985 album, Brothers in Arms. And it's verse 3, I think we're listening for.
There's so many different worlds, so many different songs.
Both fantastic songs in their own right, I have to say. I love them both. They're in different keys and they're slightly different tempos, 73 and 79 beats a minute, respectively. So when you compensate for key and tempo, we put them both in the same key of A sharp minor. They sound like this. Here's the Brothers in Arms.
There's so many different worlds, so many different songs.
And then here is the Snowy White.
Saw you flying by, flash of turquoise blue.
So here we go, Tony. It's inevitable. Stand by for the next 48 seconds. Here is my mashup.
Yes.
And I put this together simply by fading one song up and then fading the other one down back to back and compensating for key with a little bit of bar movement. So this is a track that I think must inevitably be called Brothers in Paradise.
Saw you flying by. So many different songs. I just had to try. But we live in different worlds. My bird of paradise. My bird of paradise. My bird of paradise.
Well, first thing to say, Catherine in Cornwall's got a good ear. What is that coincidence, Joe? How do we explain that?
It's a bit of a mystery. I mean, they're not exactly the same, and clearly nobody decided to get in a snit about it with each other. No one got into an argument about it. They're both great songs in their own right. So they're slightly dissimilar melodically, but there are some overlaps. The chord sequences are the same when it goes up to the relative major. That's particularly distinctive moment. And you've got this da 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 da, and then that guitar phrase do 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 do, which is just a simple phrase, but it's enough for a lot of people to have noticed the similarity.
It's fascinating stuff, and I'm just going to end with some quality sucking and blowing, Joe.
Go for it.
This was mentioned earlier on. I think if it starts in time, Joe. Oh yes, here we go. Pleasure, Joe. Thanks so much for being with us. Who knows what the subject will be next week, but we'll look forward to it.
Looking forward. See you then, Tony.
Cheers, Joe.
Cheers.
There we go. Professor Joe Bennett from Berklee College of Music, Dr. Beat. Thank you to everyone who's taken part in the show tonight. This is Stone Fox Chase, of course, the old Grey Whistle Test theme. Someone said just earlier on was a classic example of sucking and blowing on the old harmonica. Right, Tim, thank you for your efforts tonight. I will see everyone tomorrow night. Who knows what's happening? I know the TV time.